James,
Rough.
you ever attempted to fly kick someone and then do your ACL in front of millions of people?
No, I haven't. Although that was big. That was so big. Actually, I respect the move. For those, I don't know what we're talking about. I talk about Conor McGregor's glorious return to UFC. Now, you don't have to be pro Conor McGregor or anti Conor McGregor to enjoy a 38-year-old man doing a jumping kick immediately upon entering the octagon and blowing his ACL out and being disqualified. Because it speaks, I think, to the deep-seated sense that all of us have that if we did a crazy move to begin a fight, not even like a televised or official or sanctioned fight, but if you did a crazy move up the top, you could win. Speaking of crazy opening moves.
Oh, there's a lot of things to discuss. We will get to later on. SpaceX AI have released their new coding tool, and they are in a fair bit of hot water over red hot opening moves, such as downloading everyone's repo without letting them know all of their data and stealing their API keys. We'll get to that later. We'll also touch on, you've got the leak. Well, it's not a leak, but you've got the speech that Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is going to make regarding AI data centers, etc.
Yeah.
Because, Anthropic and Microsoft have been trying to do deals down here. We'll get to that in the second episode, so don't worry, Americans and Europeans, Asians, Africans.
All people of the world unite. I've always said it.
Yeah, don't worry. That's later. That's a long way later. Also, it's relevant to you. I'll tell you why when we get to it.
Okay.
But up the top, we got a whole heap of OpenAI stuff. They got the new app, which has been eviscerated by many. We've used it. We'll tell you what we think and what it means for the future of AI. Listen to this rap. I'm such a friggin' pro nowadays. And we're going to talk about it's war. Scam Altman is just absolutely open fire, all guns blazing at Anthropic.
Yep.
But first, OpenAI being sued by Apple and some bumbling, allegedly criminal antics.
Exactly. Wow.
The bumbling isn't alleged.
No, that was very impressive. By the way, you just rattled off a lot of things that we only half-form agreed to before we sat down in front of the mics. But yes, we're starting off with Apple is suing OpenAI. What could have been the greatest allegiance in consumer products, torched.
Well, it kind of was, like they were together. Let's go back, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And OpenAI had the deal with Apple that you could hand off Siri to ChatGPT.
That's right.
And if you were a subscriber to ChatGPT, you'd get ChatGPT within Siri, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it was always, to be clear, it was always a bit of a kind of panic move when Apple didn't have its ducks in a row, back when people was first starting to freak out about AI. Apple had, didn't know what they were doing, so they partnered with the obvious front runner.
Yeah.
And this was back when, like, the vibe in the air was like, OpenAI could be the next Apple, next big consumer brand. Everyone's using ChatGPT. This could be, when they're going to have their iPod moment. It's going to be huge. I don't think anyone really talks like that anymore. It's still, a lot of consumers use it, but as we're going to talk about when we get to their new app, they're leaving that market behind. Anyway, now there was actually a bit of reporting. There was the WWDC. We covered it a couple months ago. Apple announced their new enhanced cool Siri that can do all sorts of cool stuff. But it was a bunch of reporting on the ground I saw a lot of it on X and some Apple bloggers and those types who were at the sessions at WWDC. And they said the vibe they were picking up was that Apple executives were pretty cool on OpenAI.
OpenAI was no longer hot.
Whenever that OpenAI was mentioned, a chill suffused the air. No one wanted to talk about the company. And, as we said, 2 years ago, they were partnering to cram ChatGPT features into iOS.
And even that feature is now... Remember, at the time, they were like, we're starting with OpenAI, is like you can integrate it kind of more deeply in the system, and there will be others added. There weren't others added. And now they've gone in a different direction.
That's right. Although you can, I'm using the beta of iOS 27, and you can still do that. You can still add ChatGPT, but it's not really particularly emphasized. And to be clear, I don't think I've used it fucking once.
It used to occasionally be like, I'll hand this off to ChatGPT, and that would kind of occasionally work for me when you're in like voice mode or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not. It's just not something I've used very often. But anyway, the announcement landed last week, end of last week, that Apple is now suing OpenAI in federal court in Northern California, alleging a coordinated campaign of trade secret theft. You know, the core claim is that OpenAI encouraged Apple employees to share information, components, drawings, and other materials related to upcoming products, all to help OpenAI build its own hardware devices. So the idea is that there's been some corporate espionage of varying levels. We know that Johnny Ive, the former Brainiac design head behind all the Apple products you know and love or hate, maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to speak for you.
I'd say there's quite a few heads listening to this who hate.
Who are haters, yeah, exactly. And, you know, they occasionally give you reason to. The butterfly keyboard.
Yep. That pissed everyone off.
No one liked that.
I think I vaguely dodged it, or maybe not. I had an Air that had the butterfly keyboard. Actually, I would have had a Pro as well.
I had a laptop with one, and I didn't. Yeah, no, it was bad. I just didn't feel that great to type on. I didn't have any like massive problems.
Because people like they broke for people. Anyway, we're not talking about the butterfly keyboard.
We're not talking about that shit. Anyway, anyway, no. Johnny Ive, OpenAI acquired his little design workshop IO for the goal of building AI devices. And it seems like, I know we've speculated in the past, like what the hell is going on with that now that they seem less interested in consumer as a general category. But it appears that they're still working on it because they're stealing trade secrets.
Well, yeah, allegedly that from now on, everything is alleged. Ever, anything we say, nothing should be taken as us construing anything.
No.
So, I mean, they're still maintaining that they're going to release a physical a product next year in 2027.
Yeah.
And also, as well as Johnny Ive, and this fits into the whole story, there's apparently 400 ex-Apple employees working for OpenAI. Yeah, so there's a large number.
They've hired a ton of people, which is interesting. And I mean, again, obvious. It seems like Sam Altman would really like to be Steve Jobs. End of sentence. He just would like to be Steve Jobs.
Yes. I mean, he would like OpenAI to have a beautiful product.
He wants that kind of shit going on. But the defendants who are named in this suit, as part of the lawsuit, Apple does allege some sort of like general vibe of theft that pervades this organization. He said something like it's a rotten to the core or whatever. Very funny. Witty.
Yes.
Sure. But the two guys who are named are Tang Tan, who is OpenAI's chief hardware officer, and he was formerly a VP at Apple. And then Chang Lu, who was a former senior systems electrical engineer at Apple.
But the former VP, he was in charge of like iPhone and Apple Watch and stuff, like big dog.
Big dog. And like part of Johnny Ive's inner circle, which is, I guess, how he's ended up, brought into the fold here. Now, he is basically Tang Tan, according to Apple's lawsuit. What he's been doing is he's trying to hire Apple staff to come work at OpenAI, and he's basically telling them, bring parts of prototypes and future devices to your interview for a quote-unquote show and tell.
Not something one is supposed to do.
You're not supposed to do that. It is supposed to be confidential. You've got, NDAs. You've got all sorts of different stuff applied. You shouldn't be doing that. The main allegations that he's using these application processes and these attempts to poach Apple people to do a bit of sniffing around. What's Apple working on? Yeah,
they basically accuse him of it's an ingrained culture of just
stealing shit.
Steals trade secrets.
That's right. But the other one, Chang Lu, this is the one which is, as you allege, a little bit of bumbling. Essentially, it was alleged that when he moved over, Apple didn't terminate his access to some Apple systems, external drives or online drives or laptops or whatever. And then basically he downloaded dozens of confidential hardware files, including engineering presentation, technical specs, proprietary project data, and alleged to have stolen the laptop. So obviously the idea being he kept the laptop. But he texted an Apple colleague Lol, I found out that I can access the network storage. So funny after leaving.
Smart.
Yeah, that's bumbling, folks. If true, that's bumbling.
If true, that's really bumbling. So you've maintained access to what's now a competitor, and then you use that access to download confidential information, and then said, "Lol, look what I'm doing."
Lol. Yeah.
Crazy behavior from someone who's presumably very senior.
A senior systems hardware engineer. Yes. No.
To not think I could get into heaps of trouble for this.
Yeah.
He's like acting like I don't know, like you're on a phone call with like the government and they like left the phone call going. That's a bad example. Like a child who's all of a sudden found themselves in a situation they've been locked into the lolly shop.
A child locked in the lolly shop. I think that's about right. But the language of the suit, Apple's basically saying this operated at every single level. OpenAI circulated internal Apple documents to new hires, basically explaining how to avoid, when they hired new people from Apple, they circulated documents instructing them how to avoid like the walkout and how to lie about who you've been hired by, for the idea that they could just like stay for a bit longer without being frog marched out of the office. Like, you know, it paints a picture of a company that would very much like to be Apple. Hit the ground running in being Apple.
It paints a picture of a company that may be a little bit duplicitous in its culture. And you know where that start? Where does a fish rot from?
I think it could rot from anywhere. The tail, the middle of it. Have you seen like a rotting fish? They're all over the shop.
Yeah, that's true.
Doesn't that say a little something about organizational culture?
That's right. That it's not always the CEO's fault, folks.
Not always.
Did you know the reason that spiders can't fly is that wings evolved from gills? And we diverged so long ago from spiders, they were never aquatic.
That's interesting. You know, spiders, they don't have like lungs. They've got like these kind of book-esque things where like the air just sort of goes through it.
Very strange.
I didn't really explain that in a great way. And even as I say it, I realize I don't fully know what I'm talking about.
They're a strange creature. I mean, by the time that the dinosaurs were there, spiders had been around for I'm going to say hundreds of millions of years.
They're old as hell.
They're old as hell. They were already spiders before the dinosaurs were about.
And they nailed it. They're freakish.
Yeah.
They do what they do. Big ups to spiders.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, so what I'm suggesting, though, is like it does sound like the culture in OpenAI. I mean, we've said this before. It seems like they're fast and loose.
They're fast and loose.
They're fast and loose, and they don't mind, doing some, I won't say dodgy, but like being rough around the edges when it comes to this stuff. I mean, there is the broader conversation. Like, I'm not going to like stealing trade secrets. There's a weird thing around that, right? Like when you hire someone from somewhere to do a similar job, you're effectively hiring them for the experience that they've gathered in developing the thing that they've been doing for many years.
Yeah, when you hire the former iPhone hardware chief, you want him to bring lots of knowledge, most of which, Apple would rather not leave the building.
Yeah, so when I initially heard this story, I was like, oh, is this Apple just like doing the trade secret thing? Like basically like doing lawfare, like seeing a competitor, but then you read it and you're like, oh no, they were.
It does sound. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is definitely partially lawfare.
Yes,
like they do not want another hardware competitor to deal with.
Well, no, especially one that's not like that's rating their employees, and senior leadership. Of course, it's like that would piss them off greatly, and so like why not do something? But it does seem like there's more than just that.
Yeah, no,
if true,
maintaining access to a closed system after you've left the job,
and proceeding to...
A lot of people get done for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the other thing that I think is interesting is, we've seen lots of companies that grow extremely quickly over in tech. This is what they want to do. This is the goal, is that you want to have a startup or a software business or whatever that like grows really quickly, acquires a lot of users. You start hiring a lot of people. You start putting fucking foosball tables in your cool office. You got like a candy machine. cereal dispensers.
Yeah,
You've got
kombucha.
bean bags. You got those weird sleeping pods. There's a few of those about. That kind of stuff. Whatever. That's part of that's what you want to do as a startup, grow real quick. But these AI companies have grown insanely quickly.
Yeah, even
from
quicker.
having not many staff to having many thousands of staff.
all over the world.
Also have software companies grow a lot, and Meta, for example, that started with social media, that grew really quickly. They moved into other stuff over the course of a while, 15 years more. These companies are not that old, and the amount of time they've actually been doing interesting stuff is even shorter.
Yeah.
OpenAI hasn't been doing super interesting company stuff where they have lots of layers of management and they're doing lots of products for more than 4 years, four or 5 years.
What, ChatGPT is 3 and a bit years old?
Anthropic even less. And now all of a sudden they have offices all over the world. They're working on biotech stuff. They're working on hardware.
Yeah. They're negotiating with world leaders and friggin' sovereign wealth funds and, etc.
Well, when Apple made even the iPod, 2001, it had been around as a company for
decades.
Yeah, nearly 30 years, I think. So even though they'd been through the doldrums, they had understood how to make hardware. They had a long institutional culture. OpenAI is trying to jumpstart a fucking global hardware business with it sells millions of units.
Yeah.
As quickly as possible.
Yeah.
And there's actually no way to do that unless you do a little bit of, all right, let's find the guy that gets to 60% of the way there.
Yeah.
Let's skip all the boring shit. You don't need to invent fire again, folks.
No, totally.
That's done.
Look, I want to put it out there though. I want them to release some hardware. I want to see it.
Bring it to me.
As if you don't want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're going to make a weird egg or something, I need to see that shit.
Exactly.
Show me any of these weird, poorly planned blue sky projects that don't make a whole lot of sense because people are no, the smartphone can't be it.
Yeah.
It can't be it. There must be something else.
Yeah, I want to see the things. So I hope that this case doesn't hold them back from shipping something dog shit in 2027.
I really hope that Sam is too in awe of Johnny Ive and puts no effort to suppress his animal instincts, and he just does something fucking crazy.
Yeah, and we get an egg.
We get a fucking sphere, a weird, ultra smooth egg that has a faint glow under it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what the fuck is that? And it sells 20 units. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it costs $5,000 or something. That'd be sick.
It costs $5,000.
I don't want Apple to take that from us.
Let me see the fucking egg. Let me see that weird egg.
In other OpenAI news, ChatGPT, the desktop app.
Yeah.
Let's get to that, and then we'll touch on just, I guess, his tweets about Anthropic and the Anthropic ad. So this is a funny one. ChatGPT desktop app, if anyone's used it, was as one would expect, it's chatbot window, same as any AI chatbot.
Pretty much the same. With going to chatgpt.com. Yeah, with maybe a few extra features that it doesn't do. Yeah,
yeah, and some of the features though are very good. I used to use them. I don't use it anymore. Whenever you had a window, if you had Apple Notes open, it would automatically kind of connect to it, and so it would see whatever you're working on in Apple Notes. You could jump back to ChatGPT and ask questions, and it sees the context of the document or whatever. Yeah. That kind of thing. But otherwise just a very normal AI app. Now they've updated it significantly, and this was coming. They were going to bring Codex and ChatGPT together. Was the rumors or whatever for a unified super app.
Yep.
Codex being their coding platform thing. They're Claude Code style IDE / whatever.
Yep.
Thing for your projects, for your coding projects. Blah, blah, blah. Again, everyone's doing one of these. This is the super app that was supposed to bring the two together, which they did release. The reason we're talking about it, we're not going to go through feature by feature, is that it no longer really has the same chat interface that we've all grown to know and love with AI. It opens up, when you open it, you've either got Codex or you've got Work. And when you enter Work, at first, it might look a little bit like your standard chat interface, but what it does is it starts a new project, basically. In order for you to interact with it, it's starting a new project. A new project is basically just a folder. it creates a folder, and in that folder starts to create files based on what your chat is. So it's not really just for saying like,
give me a chocolate cake recipe.
Give me the top 10 athletes across all sports, like ranked, like who is objectively the best.
We were
like,
we were doing that.
We were doing that. Yeah, on the weekend. But it may in that case start an .md file.
The obvious thing is that like I imagine they've probably done the user research and realized that the people that actually actively download the Mac app, you need to go into a menu to do it. It's not like right put in front of you when you go to chatgpt.com. The people that do that are doing professional tasks.
They're doing work.
They're doing work, right? Unlike the phone app where you can get it from the Apple App Store, everyone is downloading. They'll see ChatGPT and be like, whoa, I want that. They haven't done it with the phone version, right? So they assume people doing it for work. But the idea is, they clearly want to get rid of, from some level, this sort of assumption that everything is chat, even though it's fucking called ChatGPT, and moving everyone over into something that's a bit more agentic. You don't just give it a question or talk back and forth idly, or encourage it to tell you to kill yourself or whatever it is people are doing with ChatGPT. You actually want to achieve something, a task, and you tell it and you let it do it, and you go off and you do other things while it works in the background and does that stuff. And people have essentially opened that up and freaked out and been like, well, that's not actually how I use it. Yeah.
It doesn't have all your chats like on a list on the left.
It's got this weird project view. The idea is they clearly want it to be like a productivity, agentic workflows platform, like OpenClaw-ish.
Yes.
I mean, like in a slightly nicer interface. But like, it pissed me off because like there's a few things that I use ChatGPT for. Like I have a few workflows. I have like the GPTs set up, and the GPT is literally just a chat window with a pre-prompt that I've written. And I basically, they're quite detailed, but they're often for me doing quite simple things. And I just like to take my text, drop it into the GPT, hit enter, and it processes that text in the way that I want it. Perfect. Now when I do that, there's no GPTs. They've gotten rid of them in the app.
Yeah. Well, your phone one and your computer one are now just totally different.
They're different. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. But I tried to transfer all that exact copy into a skill. So a skill is something like a function sort of thing that you can call upon by doing like $sign and the name of the skill. Very silly. Already I was like, this is fucking annoying. And I did it, but instead of just giving me the text the way it used to, it goes, let me think about that. I'll approach this task like X, thinks for like 30 seconds, reads the skill for like 30 seconds. I was like, this is fucking so annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I get what they're trying to do. The idea is that like it is this agentic system that runs your fucking life for you.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know. I think, unfortunately, people did kind of like the chat shit.
Yes.
And most people are. Most people have no idea what any of this agentic work is.
They have a billion users.
They have a billion users.
They have a billion users.
Yeah.
Like 99% of those people have no idea what agentic means, and they don't want to be opening projects and building projects in ChatGPT. They just want to be saying like, what do the tax changes mean for me? How do I save money and tax? And and make a birthday card or whatever, and use it kind of like a cross between like advice and search engine thing. But like, I guess what they're doing here is being like, if you've got the app on your computer, like we're showing you can use it for other stuff.
You can run your life with this. You can actually do things. But I think this is the problem that all these Claude Co-work, ChatGPT work, as it's called, the ones from other providers, is that most people just like can't conceptualize what they need done, like in a way that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
That's even before you get to the fact that many of the times these systems just kind of don't work that well for them. I'll describe something I did today after I opened the app and saw. I was like, okay, this is how they want to do it. I was like, oh, there's actually something I do want them to do. I want for like my tax records, I want to download all the invoices for ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Everything that across the financial year, every invoice, just so I can have it on my records, right? So I was like, that should be something you can fucking do.
Yeah.
So I was like, download me every invoice for ChatGPT over the last financial year and put it in a folder. And it was like, great, I can do that. It was like, I'm just firing up the internal browser, and I was like, ooh, I've run into an error. That's all right. I'll just, it was like, I know how to fix this. and it just started writing like some code in like a runtime environment to get around the error caused by its own internal browser. And it was like, ooh, yeah, run into another error. All good, I'll pull up Chrome. And it was like, oh, Chrome's blocked me. I don't have permission to do that. I'll try Microsoft Edge, which I had installed on my Mac for some reason. And it just kept running into these things. And it was like, the code stent that I wrote is actually interfacing badly with Chrome. And I was like, imagine a normal person saw that. Just like text of this computer talking to itself with these crazy technical solutions. Crazy technical solutions, and just like repeatedly failing. I'd be like, all good, I've got it. And just try something else Byzantine. I was just like, this is fucking shit. This is crazy.
Well, yeah, that's how they want people using it, though.
Compare that to write me a funny limerick about Super Mario or whatever. It just does it like magic.
Yeah. I wonder with these things, and it's a discussion I think we've had before, the current paradigm for like how AI is going to do everything for you or whatever, and interface with everything, is this Claude Code, whatever it is, like in this case, this OpenAI thing, or OpenClaw, whatever, all the same thing. It's on your computer and it just runs on your computer. And you've got your emails downloading to your computer and whatever.
It can do stuff for you.
And it can do stuff on your computer. And everyone's like, oh, is this like, thick versus thin clients? Is this like, the server versus the edge? Maybe it is. We're moving off the cloud, folks. We're running everything locally, or it has to be running locally. Everyone's buying Mac Minis, and it's running on the Mac Mini, which has your emails and all this shit.
Yeah.
The other side is kind of, and yeah, I know there's MCP servers and this kind of thing, and you connect them all up. But regardless, you still need to have basically a local server computer that it's running on and can access. The other side is like, I guess more what Google is doing, and I think to a lesser extent Microsoft, where it's like you connect all your online services up to this thing, and it's all on the cloud, and you can do it from your phone or your computer or whatever. Obviously, because it's Google, they also have anti-gravity, which does it the other way, where it's like the local server model or whatever. But it's kind of interesting. It's like this paradigm is like, this is OpenAI leaning into the former there, where it's like this lives on your computer, and like your computer is kind of the home base. And, in the ChatGPT app, you can connect back to codecs on your computer, as long as your computer's on and turned on at home or whatever.
Yeah,
like
the
basically remotes it.
They're all into that.
And I just don't know whether, to be frank, I have that set up. Like I got a server computer that I'm accessing all the time that's got like anti-gravity and Hermes on it and all this stuff. And like, I do run my coding project.
You're a bloody tinker, mate.
I love that.
You got a brain for it.
But I don't think that is like, I'm not convinced that this current paradigm of like a computer dicking around on a headless Mac somewhere is the future, and it's especially not for normal people.
No, I think it's a complete weird middle zone dead end. Clearly, okay, the coding harness shit, Claude Code, whatever Codex, these have been the things that have driven like the AI gains this year, essentially this year and last year. The whole idea that, oh shit, these models, once you put it into a coding harness that can agentically perform things and go through code bases and produce code and like create files and all the rest of it, it just takes us to the next level of AI productivity. And then all these companies, Anthropic included, were like, oh, okay, we need to do this same thing, but we need to do it for people that aren't code brained.
Yeah.
As are the vast majority of white collar workers are not code brained.
No.
They don't think they don't think like engineers. They think in terms of workflows and processes and, I have input A and then I get output B or whatever. So they came up with shit like Cowork, which is essentially Claude Code.
Well, it still operates in that paradigm of like files in folders. Which is a thing, and it's like white-collar non-dev work has not been in that world for more than a decade.
Absolutely.
Like, your entire life is between kind of Slack, various slide decks, and like Word documents, and then CRMs and like ERPs or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, you're in a browser.
I work with Words all fucking day, and I use Google Docs for like the vast majority of my writing stuff. I don't organize my Google Docs into files and into folders. No. I have a reverse chronological order of the documents I've been working on. Because it's often, at least in my profession, I'm not preparing a lot of nice formal documents for people. I'm just like chucking stuff in a document, sharing it with the 3 people who need to see it at any given moment.
I mean, I share formal documents, but they all sit completely unorganized on a Google Drive as well.
Well, there you go.
I find them, like, it shows me my most recent ones. If need be, I search.
And don't get me wrong, like that's not everyone. Everyone does. There are other people that do have very organized systems, and so they should. But like for most people, it's like modern digital life is like this chaotic intersection of all this different stuff. We know that like if you're a young Zoomer or a Gen Alpha or whatever, and you've grown up with phones as like your native way of interfacing with the world, you probably find the world of files and folders to be quite alien from the ground up.
No, totally. They don't get it.
They don't even
and
think
nor
about
should they, but no, they need not.
They need not. They need not. We've abstracted it away for them.
But I mean, it was already an attempted abstraction, right? Like it was a metaphor for a filing cabinet, which is completely no longer relevant.
No, exactly. But the point being is like, yeah, this whole thing where you type in and say, oh, I would like you to do this for me. And then you watch as the computer
Creates files,
runs a bunch of scripts and like does code. And yes, it's like slightly occluded from you. It like gives you, like it's talking you through what it's doing and that sort of stuff. I just think it's like, you're still coding brained. And yes, I know there are lots of elite people who are like, well, that's because that's how the world runs. The world runs on engineers and code and that shit. But like, I think it's like it's a weird middle zone. And like, I assume that people are using Claude Cowork. I don't hear about it that much.
No.
I don't hear that much about like, I hear lots about Claude Code. I hear lots about Codex. Yes, absolutely. People are doing wonderful things with that stuff. But I'm sure there are some people that are just like consultants or work in whatever who are using these systems. But like, yeah, I just don't think it's a natural fit. It's a weird middle zone. They've extrapolated this model out to the rest of the world.
Yeah. No one is doing files on computers anymore. Like that would actually be, you'd be in dereliction of your duty at most white collar work if you're like operating with files on your computer. Yes, sure, I know if you got it synced to your Office 365 or your Google Drive or whatever, sure, like that's effectively cloud though.
Yeah.
If it's living in one
which
drive
is why Claude offers all these like and so does OpenAI opens all these like API plugins where you can get Claude to like talk directly to
OneDrive,
all these million SaaS things that you use, but like very temperamental.
Yeah.
I find every time I try to do it, like I'm like, oh, my fucking Gmail connector is not connected again for some reason. Like it's just a very temperamental way to do things.
Yeah, for sure. Which makes it interesting to me. It's like, I get it. This is 100% coding is obviously where all the value has gone. I'm going to actually pause for 1 minute because I do. Actually, I'm going to try and finish this point. I want to get back to that though. Put a pin in that. Like coding is the place where it's gone. But like, and he's obviously generating value, etc. Like, that's where all the value accrues. Like it could be beneficial for business if they're saving money and they're creating products and blah, 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 blah. You can see why they would want to pay Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, whoever for tokens, etc. As we know that, everyone knows that. We've been over that time and time again. However, it feels like to me, this in particular is a big pivot from OpenAI away from consumer.
Yeah.
Like they were the consumer company.
Yep.
And still are. We've talked about this before. They went hard for consumer. We're putting ads in. We're doing shopping. Where you can have sex with your AI bot.
Maybe, and then they got rid of it. Yeah.
Erotic. You can do erotic stuff. This, that, and the other.
All the image stuff.
All the image stuff. We're going to give it, make it sound like Scarlett Johansson. All this kind of shit. And then they've backed off that entirely now. In response largely to Anthropic. And sorry, as we've just discussed, like one of the big things, part of that was hardware. Hardware's slow and takes time. But like that was very much, a consumer play, which now it seems like they've completely pivoted away from, other than the fact that, well, they got to follow through in this fucking hardware stuff.
They've got to do it. But now they've got to make the glowing egg for business.
Business egg?
The business egg?
Egg work?
Yeah, it's just like every worker in America will have this glowing egg on their desk doing God knows what.
And maybe it is the right call.
Agentic workflows.
Agentic egg. Maybe, like, I don't know, it just does feel like they're, like, running around a little bit. Like, the fact that they've basically gone all in on this, as you said before, it's like how many people are actually downloading the ChatGPT app? I mean, it's got to be at least a number of people, given that, as I said, they've got 1 billion users. And, like, people who are using AI at work that, like, isn't, Copilot bundled in with whatever their work's giving them are probably using ChatGPT. The people who are using it on the side, like non-work paid for, and even a bunch of work paid for, would be using ChatGPT. And like, so if you're doing work every day, I think that there would be a large number of people who've downloaded the ChatGPT app. Like, it's not nobody.
No,
and I feel like a lot of people are going to be thrown because as you say, they're going to be like, what the fuck is this? I just want to chat to my bot that I say, like, write me an email. This is not the way to ask a bot to write an email.
And I think, they've probably realized that even among this big, quote unquote, consumer base of people who use AI, people who use it for whatever, asking it googly questions or companionship or whatever the fuck, fine. Even those people, I would say that probably a majority of them are using it for professional tasks, whether it is doing schoolwork, getting it to write work emails, getting it to like do copy edits on the stuff they're writing or whatever. I would say like it must be, if you're using it in a consumer level and also you have a job or you're at school or whatever, you're probably using it.
You're doing both,
to generate stuff.
Yeah. The thing that I said put a pin in that I wanted to get back to is like, I think one thing it's worth kind of considering and thinking about, like with this stuff moving so fast, and we make this point all the time on Down Round, it's like, when the iPhone came out, no futurist was like, we're all going to have food delivered by people from other countries or whatever that exploit minimum wage rules or whatever. Like, that no one was saying that. No futurist was saying that when the mobile phone came out. They were probably saying like, the future of entertainment is everyone will pay microtransactions for short form video or whatever, God knows. 3 years ago, 3.5, I need to keep adding numbers to that. When did ChatGPT, it was like 2022.
Yeah, like September 22.
Yeah, so nearly 4 years ago. 3.5 years ago, no one, or at least not many people, were like, the number one and probably only, and where all the value is going to accrue to this stuff is coding. There was some like interesting, like people were like, oh, that's interesting. It actually made me a little bit of JavaScript and it actually ran. But like, we're only like 3.5 years later, and it's like...
That is the thing.
That is the killer use. Right now, that's the thing. No one was saying that 3 years ago. Like, all this other consumer stuff is not the way to go. That's a red herring. It's, you're not going to make enough money, and advertising is going to be very tough, and like shopping and stuff is going to be tough. No one was saying that. They were saying the opposite. They were saying like,
that's it.
Google is dead. Yes. Everyone's going to do all their shopping through this stuff.
Yep.
And this is going to be the way you interface with absolutely everything. That all at the moment, I mean, maybe that will eventually play out or whatever, but like no one was saying, oh, all the value is going to be code. In 3.5 years' time, if you said in 3.5 years' time, like the two major companies are going to be worth $1 trillion, people would have bought it, but it wouldn't be like, oh, and 95% of that value comes from the fact that they're really good at coding.
They're really good, yeah, exactly, and enterprise, and yeah.
Which feels so obvious now, like this always does, but like, I guess my point is like, in 3 years' time, where will we be? We don't know. Like, it's not now just settled that, okay, the killer use is code and that's it. And which is also why I think, like, it's risky to just be like, oh, we're off the consumer thing. Now, like, if you want to download the app, it's going to start a project every time you talk to it.
It's going to start a coding project, and you need to start becoming familiar with that world. And this is also just like, this is the folly of the super app. The idea that you can put all use cases for something into one screen.
Yeah, it's like, true. The white man has always chased the super app.
And it's like
they've always peered across east to the Orient.
Yeah, we've gazed longingly at the east and their super apps, and we thought that could be us. I don't know why, but it seems good.
And every time
it seems right.
They get burnt.
They get burnt because it's like there's no. Again, we've talked about this a lot. Why does it work in China, etc.? Is because most of their population got online during the mobile era.
Exactly.
It used like texting as like the substrate to build products on top of.
And they like most of the economy moved from cash to like digital via mobile phones.
Exactly. If payments and messaging is your core thing, you can build a whole constellation of shit around that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like, we have 5 different consumer segments who all have unique views, and we're just going to put them all into one surface.
Yeah.
And then hope it's fine. And then you realize, a consumer who's going to a chatbot because they think it gives them warm and fuzzy feelings when it looks at their artwork and tells them they're a genius. Is that really the same thing as a guy who was like using Codex to like build a front end, like do full stack engineering for like a shopping app or something? No, it's different. It's totally different.
Yeah. Why are you just shoving them together?
Why are they like, apart from the fact that you're like, and I think there's a bit of woo woo here where they're like, we're just setting the stage for at some point it won't matter.
Yes.
Like it'll configure itself for you. It'll do anything you need. It'll be a glowing egg that can make all your dreams come true. See, it's starting to sound very Chinese. That's some sort of Chinese shit where it's like, where it's like, look at this golden egg, and if you pray to it, it'll make everything you've ever wanted come to you. But you have to honor your ancestors.
Speaking of honoring, I just wanted to quote Sam Altman, Mr. Altman.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Altman, what's he up to now? I'm going to go to twitter.com, Sam Altman, at Sammer. We follow each other. Oh, yeah. So Claude did release, Anthropic, but from the Claude account, they released a weird ad. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't want to just fucking put a whole ad in it. We'll just describe it. Here's a little taste out of my phone straight into the SM7B. House on fire. Black. Child looking at screen.
Can AI be trusted?
Negative shit about AI.
He's going to hit the brakes if we need to.
Okay, I'll pause there. That was who's going to be hit the brakes if we need to. It was like a shot of a graveyard of like tombstones with like American flags in front of each one.
So this ad, it was real clips from like some outreach thing that Anthropic did where they got a bunch of regular Americans and like solicited their views on AI.
Yeah.
And they've recorded clips and put it into an ad. And yeah, like...
So the concept is it starts with like people really worried about AI and then just images of burning house and death.
And yeah, like tombstones stretching to the horizon.
Yeah, and then ends though with like kind of more inspirational stuff. Like maybe it can solve disease, like, this kind of thing.
I like there was one guy who was like, maybe AI can help me engage with my local community.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about?
Mean? I know, I thought exactly the same thing. I was like, what? Help me get friends? Is that what?
No, mate, it's not going to. It'll do the opposite of that, actually.
That's a dude who's asked, like, what are some good things about AI who's never thought about AI ever, eh? No. He does not know what it is, but he's like, oh, yeah, I've got a microphone in front of me. I'll answer your question.
Helps me connect with the local community. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, man, whatever.
Chuck it in there. I will say, like, I guess I get it. Like, they're trying to be very honest. Like, they're positioning themselves as, like, we're the kind of ones who are keeping it real. Like, obviously, other people are being like, oh, yeah, they're setting the stage for regulatory capture because, like, they're trying to blah, blah, all this kind of shit. I mean, maybe they're doing 4D chess and thinking about it. I think of it more just from a marketing perspective. It's like, here's the gamut of like the possibilities of AI, but know that we're thinking about these.
And it's their fucking legacy. They're the AI safety guys.
Yeah.
If you look up Anthropic and go to their website, it says Anthropic is an AI safety company.
Yeah.
It's still what they talk about. Like
that's their brand. Like that's their key differentiation.
It's like we're honest about this stuff, whereas the other guys aren't.
Totally. Anyway, so Sam Altman, people are flipping out on X, the Everything app, the other super app. I mean, but they always are because they hate Anthropic on there because, they're woke. But Sam Altman said, I thought this was satire. Kept looking for the handle to be spelled, Claude with a 1 AI or something. Hard questions are great, but only if we deem you worthy enough to not silently downgrade you or even get access at all. Like, so he's going in.
Yeah. No, he's firing up. He's been doing a bit. And I do think there's a real brand differentiation between those two companies.
Totally.
But it's also kind of hard when around OpenAI you have the Apple lawsuits, you've got all this, obviously the Elon Musk lawsuit, a lot of lawsuits to be dealing with.
Scarlett Johansson lawsuit.
I mean, a lot of stuff, New York Times lawsuit.
Yeah, true.
There's a lot of, I mean, in one sense, that's the American way. They sue each other into fucking oblivion. But it's also like Mark Zuckerberg had some of this during the Facebook run-up, of course. Social Network, the movie, this was all about Mark Zuckerberg is a weird man who is like changing our society despite the fact that he himself has Asperger's.
Is that what that was about?
That's kind of the vibe of the movie, sort of the thesis. And for a while, I was like, "Damn, that seemed so profound back in 2010," but it missed the ball. And then now I'm like, I don't know, maybe he nailed it. Maybe actually, after I read the fucking feeding his cows beef quote, I was like, fuck, maybe David Fincher nailed that. Anyway, but Zuckerberg had a bit of it, but now it's Sam Altman. Every story is about him being duplicitous, lying about the fucking fundamental business model of his company. We've heard this story before. Uber, I will put myself down for like a world historic L in that I was among the people who was like, how can Uber ever turn this ship around and become a sustainable business?
Yeah.
And they have.
Yeah.
The cost was they are now the most boring company on earth. They
Yes.
don't really do anything. They're just a toll booth.
Yeah.
Fine.
And like a way less sexy stock and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But for a while they were used to be they're never going to make money. They're reckless.
Yeah.
Ultra growth. Travis Kalanick is an asshole.
Yeah.
You know, you actually see there's a lot of OpenAI in that as well. The economics fundamentally don't work, and he's a showman and he's fucking lying about everything. Does OpenAI one day become like a boring utility like Uber is? Maybe.
Quite possibly.
Very possibly.
Because the thing with Uber as well was like, you know, they're going to do autonomous car. The whole play here is autonomous cars. And guess what? No one will own a car anymore, and every single vehicle you ride will be Uber. And that's obviously, yes, been paired largely back to being like, oh, they're the ones who've managed to make the unit economics work of a weird kind of labor arbitrage thing. You know.
they made it work. Pay the guys as little as possible. They put you in a position where it's like if you order an Uber and it's just like $38, you're like, well, fine.
Exactly. And it worked out. And like, don't have any hardware. Don't pursue like autonomy. Don't do flying helicopter. You know, like drones from Melbourne Airport and whatnot.
That was big.
Those were the days.
Those were really the days.
But yeah. And like, yeah, does OpenAI end up as that? Like, well, I mean,
who knows?
Yeah,
but I mean,
knows,
their cost structure is obviously even more crazy than. This is the thing that always comes down to is like, yes, but the cost structure is still the ongoing investment requirements are still something that Uber didn't have.
Yeah, but I mean, the revenue growth is also astronomical.
Anyway, we should probably. I mean, this is a fascinating chat. I know there are probably people who are on the edge of their seat. Like, talk more about Travis Kalanick, but we have to slam the paywall down here.
Yes.
We have to. There's a few other things we're going to be talking about. We'll probably, I mean, this is lunch bet update. We'll be talking about Australia and AI. There's a few little bits in there. We'll also be talking about SpaceX AI.
Yeah.
Putting their foot in it. That might be up the top, actually.
Yeah, I think we should definitely get into SpaceX AI up the
maybe
top.
we'll close the loop on some of the things we've been talking about. But folks, if you're not subscribed to Down Round Premium, open up your glowing egg.
Ask your egg. Speak to egg.
Speak to your egg. Go to downround.net and click on the ape. Tell your egg to click on the ape. And if it manages to do it,